behind Sewing with Solana, and today's sewing tutorial a lot of you have been asking for, and I'm really excited to teach you how to make the Sarah dress. I feel like the Sarah dress is such a good dress to wear every day during summer, and it's also easy to make. I am gonna be using, so let's talk about fabric, because I feel like that's always the most messages I get about, like which fabric would I recommend. And this dress, I've made it in a few different colors already, but every time I make the dress I use the same material. I use 100% viscose. You want to use a fabric that's super lightweight, that's super flowy, because for our skirt there's going to be quite a lot of fabric that's going to be then all scrunched together by an elastic underneath our boobs. So you don't want to use a thick fabric, because then there will be way too much fabric built up and it's also not going to be super nice and flowy. So I would really recommend using 100% viscose. I'm going to link you this fabric down below. I got a gift card from Spotlight, so thank you very much for that. That was so cool. I love Spotlight. Like, I feel like where I live, it's the only place where I can go and really get everything that I need for sewing. So yeah, that was really cool when they sent me a gift card. And I got this floral print, because often in my videos I talk about like now put the good sides together or have the bad sides facing each other, and with this fabric I'm going to be able to really show you what I mean by that. So this is the good side, where we can see the print and the colors nice and bright, and then the bad side is where the print is just super dull and you can't really probably see it anymore. But yeah, you can of course choose whatever fabric you like. I would just recommend using 100% viscose. And then we also need elastic, and you just need as much as elastic to fit around just below your bust part. And it's completely up to you how wide you want your fabric to be. I am gonna be using fabric that is 2 centimeters wide today. And what else? I feel like the cool thing is when you work with printed fabric, like when there's like floral or something, you have so many different options of what color thread you can choose. Sometimes I feel like when I just use a plain color, like a blue or a green, like anything that's not white and black, sometimes I really struggle finding the matching sewing thread. So whenever I work with like floral prints, you have so many options of sewing thread to use. I'm using the color 414 just because I thought it's nice to have like a little bit of a light pinkish tone to go with the fabric. And yes, you need your fabric. The sewing pattern will be linked down below, and you need elastic. Your sewing machine, I'm gonna be using my overlock machine, but you really don't need one for this project. And I think now we can start and putting our sewing pattern together, cutting it out, cut out our fabric, and then we start sewing. I am really excited to make this dress again, so let's go. So the first page you need to print out to test whether you printed the pattern at the correct scale. So just measure one of those boxes. If they measure correctly, perfect. And then we continue putting the pattern together, and we're going to start with B1, B2, B3 and B4, C1, C2, C3 and C4, and then we have D1, D2 and D3. So here we have the length of the fabric, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half now. And then I'm gonna fold it down again. And now I'm taking my skirt pattern and here where it says fold, I'm going to fold it on top here, like not fold it on top, but place it on top here. And now I'm just going to take this little scrap piece here to cut out my straps. The first thing we're doing now is we're taking our straps and we're going to fold them with the good side inwards. So it's going to be like this if you want to. I never do this, but I think maybe I should start saying this, especially if you're new to sewing. Some people prefer it if they pin this, but I often just fold it as I go while I'm sewing. But yeah, you can fold it, stick some needles in there so you don't have to fold and sew at the same time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew along the folded edge here with a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way till the end. And then we're going to take the second strap and we're going to do exactly the same. Here we have the good side and we fold it in half. And then we're going to sew with a 1 centimeter seam allowance away from the folded edge here. And now we can cut off some of that excess fabric here. And then you can either take a loop turner, that's what I usually do, but I just don't know where mine is right now. So I'm just going to take a safety pin and I'm going to pin it through the top here, close it, and then I just start pushing it all the way through here. So right now the straps are a bit too long. I always think it's better to have them too long at the beginning and then make them shorter. But I'm just gonna cut them here straight, and then I'm gonna measure mine 36 centimeters. So here with the sewing pattern you can see that this side is shorter than this side and this side is curved more. So this side when sewing at the end needs to face towards the back and this is at the front towards the center. So what I want us to do, I just want us to stick a needle in each of the cut out pattern pieces of where the front is, like which part needs to point towards the center in the front of the dress, just so later we know which part needs to go where. And now it's time to sew the bust part. I'm gonna take my first piece of the bust, then I'm gonna take a strap, and then I'm gonna take another piece. And here make sure that the good sides are facing each other, and also where we've at the beginning put our needles in to remember where the front is and where it needs to face towards the back. Make sure that we have two pieces where the good sides are facing each other and the needles are at the same spot. And just so later on I still remember where the front is, I'm just gonna stick one needle over here. So now I'm gonna sew from here over here, and I'm gonna go over the strap twice and then down here, which means we're gonna leave this curved part open. And now we're going to do exactly the same to the other two bust pieces. I have the good side facing up, then I'm taking the strap, good sides facing each other, and I also stick a needle in here to remember where the front is. Now one thing that I just realized, which would make it actually a bit easier instead of always having to stick needles in here. I'm just gonna make like a tiny cut here now, 1/2 centimeter deep, to remember where the front is. And then I'm also gonna do the same on this side. And now I can take the needles out. And now we go over to our iron and we're just gonna press this all nice and flat. And now we're taking one of our skirt pieces, it doesn't matter which one because they are all the same, and now we're folding it in half. So the long side we're gonna fold in half, and then once it's folded exactly in half, we're gonna make a little cut right here. So we know where the middle is. And now we lay it in front of us with the good side facing us. Here's the little cut. And now we're gonna start attaching our bust pieces. And where the needle was in and where we then made a little cut to make it a bit easier, this needs to go here, and here is the other little cut, so it needs to go here. And what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna measure 1 centimeter away from the little cut that we made, and I'm gonna stick a needle in here. And then I'm also gonna measure 1 centimeter away towards the other direction from where we made the little cut. Stick a needle in here. And now I'm gonna take my bust piece. I just cut the thread here off. And I'm gonna start putting it right where the needle is, 1 centimeter away from the little cut. And now I'm gonna start pinning along here. And now I'm doing the same for the other bust part. I'm gonna place it right where the needle is, so 1 centimeter away from the cut. And then I'm start pinning it onto the skirt. Now we're gonna start sewing here, along here, and then we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna sew here until the end of the second bust part. And this time we're not gonna sew with the 1 centimeter seam allowance, we're gonna sew a bit closer to the edge. So I'm gonna move my needle towards the edge a bit more and then start sewing. So here I can just move my needle position to the right. And now I'm still gonna glide it along the 1 centimeter line here on my sewing machine, but because we moved the needle to the right, it's gonna be less than 1 centimeter seam allowance. Then we take another one of our skirt pieces, and again, what we're going to do now is we're going to fold the long side in half. And then we are going to fold it in half again. And right here we are gonna make our little clip, like our little cut. Just make it 1/2 centimeter deep. And now when we fold it all apart again, we have one cut right here, and then another cut right here. And this is where the straps need to go for the back. So I'm just going to leave the back laying like it is, and then I take the front piece, and now I'm going to have the good sides facing each other, and we're just going to take this strap and put it right where we made our little notch, and then I'm going to stick a needle in it. And then this strap we're going to take and put it where our second clip is. It's so hard to see it with the white table, but here it is. And now we're just going to go to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew over this 2 times to make sure it doesn't open up again. And over here we're also going to go twice. And we're just going to leave the needle to the right where we put it before. Now we take what we have made so far. Let's start with the back. So I'm going to put the back where we just have attached the straps to it. And now you want the good side facing you, and the straps, don't have them facing up, have them facing down like this. And now we take another back piece of, another piece of the skirt, and we're going to have the good sides facing each other now. Trying to get this all in one shot. But yeah, so now we have the good sides facing each other, and we're just gonna pin and sew it all along here where the straps are. And this time we're also gonna move the sewing machine foot back, like the needle back to the middle again. We're gonna sew from here all the way across here with the 1 centimeter seam allowance. And now we're doing exactly the same to the front. So here right now I have one of the skirt pieces where we have sewn the bust part onto it. And you want to make sure that the good side is facing you and the bust part is folded down. And now we take the last of our skirt pieces we have left, and we're going to make sure that the good sides are facing each other. And now we're just going to sew from here all the way to the other end. And now we just want to press our seams open. So all that we have just sewn right now, doesn't matter if you start with the front or the back, but I'm just gonna start with the back to show you better. So here we have the back, this is what we have just sewn, and now we fold it open with the bed side facing us, and now we're just gonna press all this open. And now what we need to do, it still looks all a bit weird, but trust me, it's gonna make sense. What we need to do now is we need to sew the front and the back together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay the dress with the front in front of me. And then here we have the back. Make sure that the strap is not twisted. If it's twisted, just twist it the right way again. And what we want to do now here, we're gonna fold them open. We're gonna match up the seam of the two front pieces with the seam of the two back pieces. And the good sides have to face each other. So we're gonna line them up here perfectly. Stick a needle in it. And now we can fold this all open. And now we're gonna pin and sew along here. So right now this is one front piece and one back piece, and then we're gonna continue to sew the other front and back piece together. So it's gonna be a super long stitch we have to do. So yeah, now we're gonna start sewing here, and we're gonna sew all the way down here, and then once we have done this side, then we're gonna do exactly the same to the other side. So here we have the front folded open. So here's one front skirt, here's the bust part, and now I'm taking the back piece and we line up the seams here again. And then we start sewing from one end all the way to the other end. Next up, we're just gonna overlock what we have just sewn. And if you have an overlock machine, like the reason why we press the seams open, it just looks nicer on the good side. And when we overlock it, we're gonna overlock them back together again. So I know some people have been messaging me because it's confusing. Why do we first press it apart to then overlock it? And the reason why we're doing it is just because here it looks so much nicer. And if you don't have an overlock machine, just use your normal sewing machine at a zigzag option. So yeah, we're just gonna, what we have sewn, we're just gonna overlock it. We're gonna start on one end until the other end, and then we're gonna do exactly the same to the other side. And this part where we have sewn the two front pieces together, where here's like the bust part in the middle and the back, the two back pieces for the skirt with the straps, we don't need to overlock it. So just the side seams. I just want to show you quickly what the dress would look like now, because now it still looks so wrong, and I know I'm going to get messages of some of you saying like, I'm halfway through sewing the dress, it looks so wrong. It looks so wrong right now. Like, this is what it looks like right now. What we need to do next is we need to create a tunnel underneath the bust area where we then pull the elastic through, and then everything is going to be scrunched together and it's going to look nice. So trust the process. And then once we have created the tunnel, pulled the elastic through, we just need to hem the dress, and then we are finished. So what we need to do now is we need to sew our tunnel. And the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to start here at the back in between the two straps. And because my elastic, I think at the beginning of the video I actually said it's 2 centimeters wide, but I checked again, it's only 1.5 centimeters. So what I need to do is I need to create a tunnel that's wide enough for my elastic. So I'm gonna sew from this top edge here, I'm gonna make my stitching 2 centimeters away. So 0.5 centimeter more than what my elastic is wide. And I would recommend you to pin the two skirt pieces here just together so it's down, because we really want that this seam here where we have sewn the two skirts together stays on top and doesn't move around while we sew. So you can just stick some needles all the way across here, making sure that this stays nice on top, and then we just continue doing this all the way around. I just folded my side seam towards the back. And then here also, when it comes to the bust part, I would also recommend just pinning the fabric down so the fabric doesn't scrunch up here. So just pull it down, also on the other side. And then you also need to sew, depending how wide your elastic is again, I'm going to sew 2.5 centimeters away from this seam where we have sewn the bust and the skirt together. So now I've pinned all around, and I'm going to start sewing on the back in between my straps somewhere, and you're just going to start doing a stitch all the way along here on top, and it's important that you leave a gap because we still need to put the elastic through. So I got, this is like a magnetic thing. I got this thing here that I want to try out. It just helps you because I have my lines on here, but then you can put this magnet on here to help you, guide you along your seam allowance. It's from here, Madame So. They sent it to me, so let's test it. Okay, it's okay. I don't know if I would buy it, to be honest. And now that we get to the best part, I have to take it off anyways. And now it's a bit hard. And now when you take your elastic, you need to wrap it around under your bust, so it needs to be where your bra strap is. It goes all the way around. And just make sure that it's not too tight, not too loose. Just keep in mind that there's also going to be a lot of scrunch up fabric on top, so don't make it too tight. And as I always say, it's always a good idea making it a bit bigger at the beginning, and it's super easy to then make it tighter. And also add your seam allowance to it. I'm just gonna make it like this. I can measure it for you. Oops. I can measure it for you, so you know. So you have some reference. Mine is 71 centimeters long. And now I'm going to put a safety pin on this end and a safety pin on this end. And then I'm just going to put it through the tunnel. So I go in between the two layers of the back, and then I'm just gonna start pulling it through the hole. And now that both ends are outside again, you can take the safety pins off and just make sure that your elastic didn't get twisted along the way. And then you can overlap the two ends, stick a needle in here, and then go to your sewing machine and then go over it a few times. And then we just need to close the gap. So now we are almost finished. I would recommend you now to try the dress on to check a few things. Number one, check the length of the straps, if that fits nicely. Check if the elastic fits nice, if you need to make it a bit longer or a bit shorter. And then you also need to check how wide you want your hem to be. Right now the inside of the dress and the outside is exactly the same. So we haven't made a decision what our outside is going to be. And when you try your dress on now, let's say I am going to try mine on and then I'll figure it out, but let's say I would fold the outside of my dress, the skirt, 1 centimeter up and 1 centimeter again. Then I would fold the inside of the dress, like the inside skirt, that's going to be on the inside of the dress, 2 centimeters up and 2 centimeters again, just because I think it looks nicer if you don't see the lining of the skirt, like the inside of the skirt, but completely up to you. If you want to, you can also hem it with the same length, but yeah, try it on and then we hem it and then we are finished. So here is what my dress looks like. For me, the elastic fits perfectly, the straps are perfect, and I love it. I love the fabric. I really like the color. It's such a cute color and I love the print. I don't wear a lot of floral print, so this is really nice. But yeah, I'm gonna fold this part, like the outside of my dress, 1 centimeter in and then 1 centimeter again. And for the inside of the dress, I'm going to fold it up 2 centimeters and then 2 centimeters again, but that's completely up to you now. But yeah, I'm just going to pin it, sew it, and then I'm going to iron it, and then we are finished. And that's it for today's sewing tutorial. I'm going to show you what my Sarah dress looks like worn in a few seconds. I always feel like when it's just like hanging there or laying there, it looks a bit weird and unproportional, but once it's worn, I love this dress so much, and I love this fabric. It's so nice. I can't wait to wear it. And as always, if you have any questions, if there's anything unclear, please leave a comment, send me a message, send me an email, and I really hope I see you next week at my next tutorial. I think I'm gonna make this dress here because some of you have been asking for a dress that's a bit more modest, I guess. I think it's a bit hard to see right now because everything in here is so white and this dress is also so white. But it's like the dress with long sleeves. I posted a video, like a reel, I think maybe 1 or 2 months ago, and it got so many views. I think like a few million. I think maybe it's, I don't know, crazy amount of views, and a lot of you have also been asking for it. So I think this is what I'm going to do next, because lots of you want to make a dress that you can wear a bra with, which I understand. So yeah, I'm tired, I'm exhausted now. I went to view a store because my lease in this pop-up store is up in 4 weeks. So I'm looking for another space. But yeah, I'm happy I managed filming this tutorial for you today, and I hope I see you next week. Goodbye.